Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. And thanks for the opportunity to present key findings and the implications we see for broadband service providers from our recent analysis of broadband data usage. Let's jump into it. The second quarter of 2022 saw the return of seasonal patterns of usage, even as the workplace continued to find its equilibrium of hybrid working, as well as students completing their school year actually attending school. In addition, the United States in January of 2022, the FCC launched the Affordable Connectivity Program, or ACP, to support low-income households connecting to the internet. While the participation rate may have varied among broadband providers, a clear usage pattern among households emerged, which has direct impact on service providers. With more connected devices in the home than ever before, as well as the need for work from home, learn from home, stream entertainment, and game, the surge in the need for broadband continues unabated. We've seen the outcome from significant growth in broadband consumption and the potential for congestion. Fortunately, there are solutions available, such as the kind that OpenVault provides, that enables broadband providers to identify and proactively improve network performance and approach subscribers with an upgrade package that will improve their user experience while also improving ARPU for you. During this discussion, you'll hear about both the insights we've had and the solutions that help broadband providers. Welcome. I'm Larry Siegel, and I'll be serving as your host on today's webinar. I'm going to talk a bit about our role in developing this groundbreaking report and then turn it over to our CEO and founder, Mark Trudeau, who will take us on a deep dive into the key findings of this quarter's report and their implications for broadband providers, especially on how they can take the same views we have on data usage and leverage that for improving subscriber satisfaction while increasing revenue for you. As we go through our key findings, if you have any questions, please submit your questions here on Zoom. If we don't respond during the session, we will follow up with you. OpenVault is the only cloud-based solutions provider focused exclusively on improving the value of broadband providers' networks with quick-to-deploy business-enhancing tools built upon our unique ability to capture and then analyze actual network and subscriber usage data in real time. With our deep domain knowledge, we perform data analytics on billions of usage and data network points so that our solutions enable providers to improve network performance, discover new and improve existing revenue streams, and enhance subscriber satisfaction. We've delivered this for over 10 years for broadband providers in North America, Latin America, and Europe. Now, for this report, our tools gather broadband usage data generated by our 150 plus broadband provider customers in North America, Latin America, and Europe. And once within our platform, we create a holistic pool of data across millions of subscriber data usage records into which we execute a series of powerful analytic queries ranging from overall usage, tiered usage, plan migrations, and geographic characteristics. These then yield insights, which have implications for broadband providers. We share these insights and their implications for providers with quarterly OpenVault Broadband Insights Report advisories, or OVBIs. Now, the current one is available for download on our website. We'll talk about that in a minute at openvault.com. The four main points that we have in the last quarter is that usage growth continues as a result of continued demand. UBB network providers are successfully migrating subscribers to higher speed tiers and ARPU. This is the first time we've seen this since we've been tracking this. Power users and gigabit speed tier users are rapidly accelerating. And for the first time, we're able to provide a look at ACP usage versus average usage. And what we found is startling and has created some news lately. Knowing usage patterns are returning to seasonal trends, but overall usage continues to grow. What is your number one need? Is it data-driven network planning, addressing congestion within existing network, improving revenue among existing subscribers, or none of the above? This is a tough, Sophie's choice here. They're all important, but what's most important to you? Well, not a surprise, revenue and improving revenue is at the top of the list. followed by dealing with congestion, and then data-driven network planning. We're going to get into all of this, especially talking about congestion. As we mentioned, the big picture on usage is that we're returning to anticipated seasonal trends, namely a nominal drop-off in early spring, though at levels much higher than a year ago. To take us into the numbers, we have for you Mark Trudeau.
All right, thanks, Larry. So, yeah, we've seen higher percentage growth in the past, but obviously, given this tremendous growth that we've seen during the pandemic and so forth, we're now dealing with much larger numbers as a denominator. So the percentage growth has actually come down a bit to 13% growth year over year. And we're now at just under a half a terabyte here for the second quarter, which is down from the first quarter. And again, not a big surprise, as Larry mentioned. This is typical seasonality, although we're never going to return to those pre-pandemic numbers. So, but it's good to see that we have returned to seasonality, because it makes the usage levels a bit more predictable here, certainly than we've seen over the last couple of years. Now, the comparison of flat rate billing versus UBB, we've got a number of interesting observations this time around that kind of are a little contrary to what we've seen over previous OVBIs and analysis. Flat rate billing is slightly higher. Usage is slightly higher on flat rate or unlimited billing plans than UBB households, but we are seeing usage-based billing subscribers actually growing at a faster rate than flat rate, and that's the first time we've seen that. And we have some theories on why that is, which we'll get into here in a bit. So again, same kind of thing when we look at median usage. Median usage continues to grow at a faster rate than average usage, indicating that all subscribers are kind of moving up and consuming more and more data across the population. Just like when we looked at average usage, the UBB growth is 2.5 times higher than what we're seeing on flat rate networks. So again, this is something brand new that we've never seen before, and it does have to do with the adoption of higher speed tier packages that usage-based billing operators, those with quotas established, etc. It ends up incenting subscribers to move up to those faster speeds, and since there's such a high correlation between speed and usage, it's not a surprise that we're now seeing the usage levels kind of approach what we're seeing on the unlimited plans with flat rate billing packages.
Thank you, Mark. Now, UBB, usage-based billing operators, are having great success in driving subscribers into higher speed, higher ARPU, average revenue per user, broadband tiers. That success is also driving more bandwidth usage, as faster broadband tiers correlate directly with the higher bandwidth consumption. As a result, UBB subscriber growth in many usage categories is outpacing FRB subscribers' usage growth. What does all that mean? Back to Mark for a closer look.
Yeah. So again, when we look at the growth in median usage, this tells us that again, it's not just a few subscribers dragging up the average. When we look at median usage, we're looking at that 50th percentile. So it's really everybody kind of moving up to faster speeds, which is resulting in higher usage growth. So quite a difference here than what we've seen in the past. Now, to isolate upstream, and I know there's a big focus on upstream. Obviously, there are capacity limits on upstream, particularly in the DOCSIS networks out there. So we always like to isolate upstream, and again, we're seeing an increase across the board, but the UBB subscribers are outpacing flat rate billing subscribers when it comes to upstream usage. So just, in case anybody has doubts about the idea that usage-based billing drives upgrades and drives subscribers to faster speeds, I think there's probably not a better stat to kind of show just what that means, right? So over 80% of subscribers that are on operators' networks that offer UBB with usage quotas, et cetera, over 80% of them have selected 200 megabits per second or faster speeds. We're only 56% on flat rate billing, operators. So it's quite a difference, and it absolutely drives more usage. Now, a lot of the UBB operators out there that have usage quotas and things, when subscribers move up to the gig tier, oftentimes that they then offer unlimited usage as an incentive to move up to the 1 gig service. And that's why you're seeing there at the top a higher percentage of subscribers selecting the 1 gig service when you're on a UBB operator versus those that are, flat rate billing where every plan is unlimited. So again, it's pretty telling, and it directly really explains the reason why UBB subscribers tend to be of late growing their usage consumption faster than FRB operators. Now, likewise, when you look at the lower end and the slower speeds, there's quite a difference here where the UBB operators have only 17.5% of their subscribers using under 200 megabits per second, right? Because typically those quotas are much lower, and there's a lot more incentive for subscribers there to move up to the faster speed. So same kind of theme, just looking at it from a different direction.
Thank you, Mark. Now we'll get a focus on power users or subscribers who consume 1 terabyte or more of data per month, and they have a profound impact on the network. And for the first time, since we've been tracking, as we talked about earlier, the rise in usage-based billing power users is impacting all users. The power user category itself has seen tremendous growth in the past few quarters. Back to Mark as we look at the data.
So those of you that have been through a few of these webinars and reviewed the reports know that we do like to isolate the power users as well. These are the subscribers that can have the biggest impact on network health. And so we always like to look at this. And, as you see here now, there's a huge increase in those subscribers that are consuming over 1 terabyte of data. Now, we also like to look at the superpower users now of north of 2 terabytes, and we're seeing a 1.5 times increase year over year, where now we're over 2.2% of subscribers across the board that are using north of 2 terabytes. And that is obviously a heck of a lot of data. So more and more subscribers out there that we consider superpower users. Now, again, same theme as we've been talking about. There is a faster adoption amongst the UBB subscribers that's having an impact on overall usage. There's still a delta, as you can see. Historically, those operators offering plans with usage quotas and things has really helped to curtail the percentage of subscribers in these power user categories. That gap is closing. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with the rating plans that that operators put in place, where they do ultimately allow subscribers to get up to those faster speed tiers with unlimited usage at that point. So that's providing a lot of incentive for those UBB type subscribers to move to the faster speeds. So yeah, in literally the last 4 years, and we've got some historical data in here just to give you a perspective of what's happened here over the last few years, pre-pandemic and where we are today. And when we look at that 2 terabyte category, the number of superpower users has increased by over 11 times. So really, and that's not going to slow down, right? I mean, as faster and faster speeds come out, more and more network upgrades, our operators invest in more and more network upgrades, we're going to continue to see more power users. And the other part of it is we don't know what the next killer app is going to be. We'll, with more and more devices that can provide higher quality streaming, et cetera. These things all impact usage, not necessarily with any change in behavior by the subscriber, right? It's just that serving up a higher quality video is going to chew up more data. So we're going to continue to see this trend, but it's pretty shocking when you look at just how much growth there's been here over the last few years. And again, on that same theme, we and again, those of you that have been on these before know that we've been tracking this since 2011. And we used to view 250 gigabytes as a power user. Now we're seeing 36% of all subscribers over a half a terabyte. So tremendous usage growth that you're all dealing with as operators and trying to support and provide the best service possible. Upstream is something that we saw huge growth during the pandemic. Between Zoom calls and everything else, it's there's been a tremendous change in usage behavior that's put a lot of strain on the upstream part of the network, and has caused a lot of operators to really have to focus on that and avoid congestion and try to keep capacity at levels that can support this kind of growth. But you're seeing almost 2.5 times more upstream usage than you saw back in 2018. So huge growth there on the upstream.
Thank you, Mark. Speaking of capacity, let's hit pause for a moment before we take a closer look at speed tiers. And given the continued increased usage and ongoing supply chain challenges for upgrade equipment that providers are facing, many operators are looking to extend the life of their existing networks. As a network provider, we're going to ask you a question. Which of the following would interest you if you could leverage software to, and choose all that apply, boost capacity of your existing network, identify subscribers who can benefit most from an upgrade package, predict future specific network capacity issues, and take targeted action to abusive subscribers causing network congestion? What would interest you if you could leverage software? You don't need additional equipment. Identify subscribers who can benefit from an upgrade package. That certainly ties back to our earlier poll regarding increasing revenue, whose capacity is important, and so is predicting future specific capacity issues. Well, let's get into our next section and talk about provision speed tiers. Back to Mark.
Thanks, Larry. Yeah, so we always like to look at usage and then speed tier adoption. And as you saw on some of the previous slides, we're now seeing over 14% of subscribers that have adopted the 1 gig service, and that's up 35% from just a year ago. So operators are doing a great job promoting that service, and subscribers are, obviously there's a pretty good take rate there. So, the most popular range of speeds is clearly in the 200 to 400 megabits per second range. A lot of operators today that have upgraded their networks and so forth don't even offer anything for new customers below these speeds. So now we're seeing that range as the most popular range, with over half of subscribers falling into that category. So, fewer and fewer subscribers are on those very low speed tiers. That speed, 50 megabits, or less, just doesn't support the kind of usage behavior that subscribers need these days. So I think subscribers are getting a lot smarter. Operators are doing a good job of oftentimes automatically upgrading subscribers to faster speeds without even charging more necessarily. So providing more value to the end subscriber. But the result is just fewer and fewer subscribers there on those very slow speeds. And this is pretty astounding. Now you have, close to 75% of your subscribers here that are receiving 200 megabits per second or higher. which we all know is actually plenty of speed. It takes a lot of usage, a lot of simultaneous video streams or whatever it is that you're doing to chew up that much bandwidth. But things like network congestion and challenges like that mean that subscribers aren't always getting those speeds necessarily. But in terms of what they're subscribing to, 3 out of 4 subscribers now at 200 megabits per second or higher.
Thank you, Mark. And now, featured discussion. This is the reason you came today. ACP. In January of 2022, which we talked about earlier, the FCC launched the Affordable Connectivity Program, or ACP, to support low-income households connecting to the internet. And for those who don't know, the program provides a $30 per month or $75 for tribal households subsidy that can be applied toward a monthly internet subscription. The program has a budget of over $14 billion and replaced the similar Emergency Broadband Benefit, or EBB program, which was launched during the pandemic. OpenVault was able to observe usage behavior of several thousand ACP participants during the second quarter of 22, and we now have an initial glimpse into the impact of those subscribers who are signed up with the ACP. Without a doubt, ACP participants are taking advantage of the program, and their bandwidth usage exceeds that of the broader population in most categories. Here to tell us more, once again, Mark Trudeau.
Thanks, Larry. Yeah, needless to say, this analysis was a bit surprising to us when we first started looking at this. I will give a caveat. These are preliminary results, although having said that, we did, leading up to this webinar, take a look at usage for ACP versus the broader population for the full month of August, which would be our last full month of data collected. And we're still seeing over 600 gigabytes per ACP subscriber. So the more we look at this, the more I think this is an observation that I don't think is just an anomaly. I think it's going to carry forward. We did a lot of thinking about this because it was quite a surprise. And I did see one question come in around speed tiers and the adoption of speed tiers. And we're going to take a much deeper look at this here in the third quarter and analyze things like that, new versus existing customers. What speed tiers are they selecting? Are they moving up to faster speed tiers, which, by the way, is the theory that you're getting your $30 subsidy and ultimately you're still spending money as a subscriber on faster speed tiers. So the expectation is that we're going to see not only higher usage, but again, since there's such a strong correlation with speed, we expect to see faster speeds being adopted by ACP subscribers. So it was just a bit of a surprise. We thought it was worthwhile, reporting on this, but 654 versus 490 is quite a leap, and something that operators should really keep their eye on. We look at median usage, and again, so this is not just a few ACP subscribers dragging up that average. We're still talking about thousands of subscribers usage levels that were part of this analysis. And when you look at median usage, it's clear that the majority, a really good chunk of these ACP subscribers are very heavy users. Even median usage is higher than the average usage across the entire population of 490, which is really shocking. But something that's good to know as an operator that's out there, aggressively taking advantage of this program. So again, we're looking at power users, and not surprising, based on the previous slide, that we're seeing a much higher profile of power users in the ACP category versus the rest of the universe. So higher average usage, higher median usage, more power users really took us a bit by surprise. Another thing we like to look at here is just overall average. You've heard me talk a lot about that. we're at 490 gigabytes, as you see, and what you see over there on the left is a breakdown between upstream and downstream, and then your overall weighted average speeds between downstream and upstream speeds as well. And again, the majority of these subscribers are on DOCSIS broadband networks, and 85% of households now have at least one streaming device. And I think, as we all know, with the pandemic, we now see multiple simultaneous streams going on, in a lot of households, and that's serving to really drive up usage and contribute to this growth. So, in conclusion here, the second quarter, has shown a bit less usage than the first quarter, but that's normal. That's a normal seasonal pattern. We do expect that we're going to see higher usage in Q3. And frankly, I expect to see the highest usage ever in Q4 than we've ever observed before. I think that's a pretty safe assumption based on the seasonality that we've seen historically. So ACP, again, they have a really healthy appetite for broadband, these subscribers, and we're going to do a much deeper dive. We're going to look at speed tier adoption. We're going to look at new versus existing. We're going to try to slice and dice these ACP subscribers in a much more granular way. Frankly, we were surprised at just looking at the averages, and now that's enough for us to say, hey, we need to take a deeper look. So stay tuned for that as part of the Q3 report. We'll certainly get into that. And this was another thing that caught us by surprise. This particular period was, the UBB subscribers accelerating their data usage, and it's absolutely true. We've seen it. We've got a lot of operator customers that offer UBB packages, and a lot that offer unlimited flat rate billing packages. There is no doubt we see a lot more subscribers upgrading to faster speeds when they're on a UBB operator. And the end result is numerous things. It's higher ARPU for the operator, more usage to deal with, however, still below the flat rate billing, even though the growth has been higher. But I think the surprising thing for a lot of operators is that the net promoter scores and really customer satisfaction overall is actually higher on operators that offer UBB. And the theory behind that is just they're getting the bandwidth that they need. They've got faster speeds now, and we see phone calls being reduced and so forth when fewer and fewer phone calls and fewer truck rolls, et cetera, on those operators that offer UBB plans, which I think is a little counterintuitive to a lot of operators, but that's the reality. And this again is just where the gap is closing. I don't think it's going to be much longer where we're going to be able to say there is proof that UBB helps to curtail usage, even for power users. I think that because of a lot of the rating programs with unlimited options that UBB operators provide, whether it's moving up to a gig service or offering an extra $30 unlimited plan or something, there's lots of different things out there now that are giving subscribers that are real heavy users the option of unlimited without much of an economic impact. So they're taking advantage of it. So I think the gap between usage behavior of UBB versus FRB is something we'll continue to watch, but it's obviously shrinking. And obviously, we're as Larry said, early on, the way that we actually collect this data and analyze it, the only way we can do it is because we have tools out there in the marketplace that collect this information, provide these metrics, and help operators really better manage the network. So this is all the result of the solutions that we offer in the marketplace. We're not a market research company. We are a solution provider, and we just figured we have such a massive amount of data that we collect on our operators' behalf that these kind of key statistics are things that there seems to be a lot of interest in. So we're going to continue reporting on these things.
Thank you, Mark. And speaking of solutions, we talked about identifying upgrade candidates as one of the tools and solutions that we have as a way of improving revenue. Now let's talk about another solution, another issue that's come up. Certainly it showed up in the polls, and that's congestion management, which can help you get more from your existing investment in your network without bringing in equipment. And in this case, we have a one that works in DOCSIS 3.1 and higher networks. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, and we'll briefly mention this here. And we launched this product down at Expo in Philadelphia, and to tremendous. There's a tremendous amount of interest in this. And basically, what we're doing is we're creating more headroom for those operators that have invested in DOCSIS 3.1. We're looking at network impairments and ultimately deciding on the optimal profile, modulation profile per modem, and applying those profiles so that you as an operator are ultimately really optimizing your investment in 3.1. And preliminary results show that we can increase capacity by over 40%. And this is obviously network dependent. We need to really get in there and collect the data, but we can show you ahead of turning anything on just what to expect in terms of increase in headroom, which is a huge benefit. Just think about your investment in 3.1 and what you've spent. To not get the optimal performance out of it is really not something you want to do. You want to get, squeeze every piece of capacity out of the network that you possibly can. And that's what our capacity booster does. It's software-based, cloud-based. I'm not going to get into all the details here, but we certainly encourage you, if you're on if you have it and run a DOCSIS 3.1 network and you've made that investment, this is the best way to extend the life of that network, provide better service to your subscribers by increasing network capacity, deferring CapEx, with supply chain issues and everything being what they are. This is a great way to really benefit your DOCSIS 3.1 network and your subscribers. So it's providing visibility, it's forecasting your increased capacity, and it's all automated. We have the ability to automatically assign these profiles, and so there's no manual intervention required. It's a very slick software-based solution, cloud-based solution that seems to be getting a lot of traction in the market. For those that don't know us, again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but our main areas that we focus on are network management optimization, monetization, as Larry pointed out, helping you identify who those subscribers are that would be better served by higher speeds. And, we have a lot of tools around that. And it's all about driving ARPU and making sure your subscribers are simply right sized for their level of usage, which has huge customer service benefits, NPS benefits, et cetera. So when you have all this data and you have these tools in place, it becomes kind of really your trusted source as an organization, which can benefit all the functional areas of the company. And, we have solutions that really are targeted towards all these different functional areas that provide huge benefits, all on the same baseline of data, right? So you're not dealing with different data sets and making decisions that aren't all based on a trusted set of KPIs and so forth. So really does benefit the entire organization. Everything we do is about driving revenue, reducing expenses, and ultimately increasing your profits. On the area of your business that's arguably, and I don't think it's much of an argument, the most important part of your business these days. Most operators that we know, particularly in the MSO space, have made the declaration that they're a broadband first company. That's where their promotional dollars are going. That's where the margins are. And we're about helping you with that end of the business and continuing to improve those margins.
Thank you for that, Mark. A couple of notes, and we're going to jump into some Q&A. This was a deep dive and some observations and behind-the-scenes kind of stuff that we got and we got to share with you. Full report's available at openvault.com. We encourage you to go ahead and download that and look at it, read it thoroughly, and get excited about Q3, which we're currently working on now. So let's get to some Q&A. Actually, we got a bunch of stuff about ACP. The first one here, you kind of answered, but just out of respect to the question, let me give it to you. How do you gather usage data specifically for ACP households?
Actually, I don't think I did answer that. So what we do is we collect data not just from the network. We actually aggregate, we collect data also from your billing and CRM systems. And we aggregate that data to correlate the usage, consumption that we're seeing by MAC address or, what have you. And we ultimately compare that and correlate it with individual subscribers so that we know what package plan a subscriber's on. And we're able to then isolate, this analysis in that fashion. So we're aggregating and ultimately enriching the data that we're collecting from the network with other sources.
And it's based on the software that we have with our customers. Is that right?
Correct. So we have all of our, when it comes to the network, we've built a whole library of collectors. We've worked with numerous, all the physical and virtual CMTS vendors out there, as well as numerous OLT vendors for fiber operators. And we're able to collect all that data, again, correlate it to individual subscribers in the plan or the package that's been selected, and provide this granular, way of this granular set of analytics to help you with not just ACP, but really understand the usage behavior for every one of your speed tiers, for example.
And another ACP question, it's a hot topic. We're finding ACP reporting to be cumbersome. What's the best way to handle this?
Yeah, they haven't made it too easy for operators, between having to look at rolling 30-day usage, storage requirements, et cetera. Because of the nature of the data that we're collecting, we're perfectly set up to help operators with ACP reporting. We do it today for a number of our current customers. And if you have that challenge and have that need, we have that solution. And chances are we've already got, again, whether you're a DOCSIS or a fiber provider, there's a good chance we've already got those collection capabilities, and all the reporting is already established as part of our ACP reporting offer.
Thank you. About the capacity booster that you showed, we're constrained with resources. How difficult is it to deploy your capacity booster solution and your other products?
So we really pride ourselves on not being a big project for operators. This is not something where you need a big project team. I know a lot of operators will identify 5 or 6 key projects a year that they can work on, just given, everybody's got resource constraints these days. This is all designed to avoid that. And all the work is on our side, with the exception of just giving us access to the different devices that we need to connect into. We've already got the collectors built. Because it's cloud-based, we can go on premises for those operators that want that, but most of our customers opt for the cloud-based solution where we can get set up very, very quickly. We, because it's software, again, there's no hardware deployments inside your network or anything like that. So it's very quick and easy to deploy. It's not a big project team. And when it comes to the analytics, we really become your analytics department. A lot of operators don't really have an analytics department. They don't have the resources and a team pulled together. We become that team. We do data reviews for our customers on a regular basis. If you have questions, ad hoc requests, et cetera, you need to see data in a certain way. That's our specialty. That's what we do. We live and breathe this stuff. So certainly encourage you to take a look.
Thank you. 2 more questions. One, you talked about improving congestion for DOCSIS networks. We have a fiber hybrid network. Do your solutions work for fiber?
Yeah, I've kind of touched on that. We started this business really focused on the DOCSIS, on the MSO space. Over the years, many of our MSO customers have expanded their network via fiber offerings, and And we, as such, have continued to build our library of OLT collectors, and we're able to really show an operator, even in a hybrid environment, all of their data for all of their subscribers, regardless of the access network, all in one place. And since all these networks are shared networks, whether it's port utilization or what have you, it's really important to understand the impact that individual subscribers can have on your capacity. And that's a big focus of ours, both in DOCSIS networks as well as fiber.
Thank you. And this last question, you kind of touched on it, but I think we'd all like to hear it again. If you're saying we're back to seasonal trends, what can we expect for the quarter we just passed, and what do you see ahead?
Yeah, so for many years we've seen growth rates in the 30 to 40% range. Obviously, with COVID, that kind of changed things dramatically, where usage growth just exploded beyond those levels, particularly on the upstream side of things. With the latest seasonality, combined with the fact that we're now dealing with higher usage levels, we expect usage growth to be in that 12 to 15% range year over year. And, so that gives us a pretty good feel for what to expect both in Q3 and Q4. Typically, Q4 is the highest quarter of usage, and that's not a surprise with the holidays, with new devices out there and all of that. We tend to see very high usage in Q4, and then again in Q1 of in 2023, we'll expect both Q4 2022 and Q1 2023 to be the highest that we've seen on record. So it's really important to pay attention to that.
Well, thank you. Just as a final reminder, the Broadband Insights Report is available for download now at our website. That concludes this. Keep your eyes open for our announcement of our next quarterly report. And thank you so much for your time and your interest and your questions. And if you have any follow-up questions or anything else, just get in touch with us on our website. We're glad to be here for you to help you with your network management and improving your revenue. And Mark, thank you very much for the deep dive. And everybody else, have a great afternoon.